The FujiCast is an independent Loading Zone production.
On Friday, I think just gone, or would it be the week before? Because we're having to record a few at the moment, aren't we? Because you're going on holiday, then I go on holiday. All the holidays are different between Malmesbury and why do you have a week earlier than us? Or
we have 2 weeks.
You have 2 weeks? What?
Yeah. So we're going on holiday today.
Hang on a minute. Have you sent them to private school? They're the people that have all the time off school.
No, they get about 6 weeks off, don't they?
I know. I always find it amazing that people pay, I don't know, £25,000-30,000 a year, and they spend so less time at school than our kids.
Yeah, but they've got a far better chance of having a Boris Johnson growing up in their family.
That's true. Well, there we go. That's got to be worth something, I suppose. Anyway, I'm doing at the school, as we record this, I'm doing the school quiz tonight. I've been waiting to do the school quiz for ages, Kev, because you know me, I'd put my heart and soul into it and do something a bit fancy. And so I am the quizmaster, Kev. Quizmaster me.
I'll have a pee, please, Bob.
Not before you've answered the questions and eaten your pizza. Yeah, they get pizza at half time of this quiz. That's not bad. We never used to get that in our school quizzes, that's for sure. I'll try you with one question, okay, from the food and drink round. To the nearest couple of years, what year did the first McDonald's restaurant open in America?
Good Lord. I reckon it was, I don't know, my first guess is like 50, I don't know. I'm going to say...
should put a timer on you here.
It might even been the 30. Was it during the... I'm going to say 1939.
1939?
Yeah.
You're within the 2 years, Kev. Look at that. There should be a round of applause here. Yeah.
Was it then? 1936?
1940 was within 2 years. You said 39. You're right.
Oh, did I?
Within 2 years. I
was going to say 38.
And you'd have still been okay. 1940, Kev. And we mused
It's earlier than I thought, I've got to say.
Is it?
My first thoughts was probably late 60s, and then I thought, no, because I remember seeing something in my dark distant past, which was an advert from just around after the wartime, so I thought it must be earlier than that.
I mentioned this, by the way, on the Patreon for my other podcast about doing the quiz, and I mentioned that I hope Gemma doesn't mind.
Can say the name of your other podcast, by the way.
Can I? It's like it's something from Harry Potter.
Photo-walk.
No, it's not. It doesn't have a hyphen in it, Kev. Don't start that. Photowalk.show. But I mentioned in the Patreon for it that Gemma, and I think this is true because I sort of extended into why on earth did a fast food restaurant choose a big clown, which so many people are frightened of, I know people have clown phobias across the world, to be sort of their talisman for this brand. And I mentioned your Gemma because I'm sure she doesn't like clowns, does she?
She's terrified of clowns.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah,
terrified. That's why I nearly always dress up as a clown.
You don't do that.
The FujiCast.
You're cruel. You are. You're very cruel. You've never done that for real, have you?
Well, I tell you what I did do during lockdown. I said to the kids and Gemma and everything, right, come Halloween, because we were all locked down, won't we, Halloween? I said, we'll do, everybody will dress up and we'll have a Halloween night and we'll do spooky stories and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Everybody promptly forgot about it, apart from me. So I went upstairs, I came down, and I assumed everybody else was doing the same thing, but they weren't. I'd painted myself completely green. I'd got myself a Hulk outfit, got big black curly hair, totally green muscly body and everything. I went downstairs, walked into the kitchen. Gemma screamed her head off, dropped a plate. Albie, who was on his VR system at the time, came running into the living room. And if you know the VR system, if you run out of the game space, it brings you back into the real world, but it's in black and white. So he came running into the kitchen and saw me in black and white, screamed his head off, threw his VR thing on the floor. Rosa came down the stairs, screamed her head off. And all the time I was just stood there looking like the whole.
Oh, Kev.
They were terrified. Absolutely.
Well, terrified. I'm not surprised. You've scarred them for life, and you've almost finished up all the intro bed. So I better quickly say welcome to the FujiCast. Your questions from the Facebook group.
Don't make me angry.
Yes, and from the Facebook group, and also from you sending your emails to click@fujicast.co.uk. Have they ever forgiven you for that?
I'm not sure. It's one of those moments in time that we will never forget.
It's a family historical moment, isn't it?
Fun Dad, they call me.
They call you what?
Fun Dad.
Fun Dad?
Yeah, no, they don't really.
Well, I was
You know,
gonna
on
say
Netflix.
that.
You know, on Netflix. You know, have you got different counts on Netflix for the kids and Gemma?
Oh, yes,
Sam
we
and
have.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm a my icon is a walrus.
Oh,
The kids did that, a walrus. Everybody else has got lovely kind of
yeah.
pretty faces. I'm a walrus.
You're a walrus. Is that what they call you in the house? Here comes walrus.
Walrus. I am a walrus.
So yeah, I did think of Gemma during that moment, and I'm now going to be thinking of her during that moment of you coming down as the Hulk. Have you kept that muscly body? That could come in handy, couldn't it?
Yeah, I get it. Like I get it out of bed every 9 months or so.
Right. Right. I've addressed the way I'm gonna do this, Kev. This next piece. But we want to thank our sponsors, Pick Time, for supporting us on the show. It is the service that we use when we go into the website, which is pick-time.com. That's where we show the pictures that we make at our weddings, portrait pictures. I put a commercial job on it, as I said last time we were talking recently, so that was a successful way to use it. You sell your albums through it, print sales. Who were you? You were using a new print supplier, or they're not new, but they've just been added to it.
Digital Lab, yeah. So I've been using Digital Lab for a long time. I've been waiting for them to get on board with Pick Time, and they're on there now. So I spent a very happy hour changing it. We spoke about this last week.
Yeah.
Changing all of my suppliers to Digital Lab.
Digital
Lab up in Newcastle.
They're Digital-Lab, or are they just Digital Lab?
Digital Lab. Digitalab. No double L in the middle.
Jeremy Baker, who I believe is coming on one of your workshops. I'm supposed to say.
JB to his friends.
JB to his friends. I know him as J. So there we go. He told me the other day he's doing a lot more photographic work now for the pennies, and he used it for a job he did at an event, a sort of party, and that worked really well for him. So it's really nice to hear that FujiCast listeners are beginning to use Pick Time in their numbers.
Well, you can use it for all kinds of stuff. And so yesterday I did a day in the life shoot, and I have my stores set up, one package for weddings and one package for family day in the life photography.
Yeah, which you can easily set up with drop downs, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I upload the images from yesterday's shoot, when I edit them, I will just select my family package, and that has a very different set of products. I don't kind of do the enable digital downloads. It's a very different set of kind of fine art printy type things.
Right.
No key rings, no magnets, that kind of stuff.
Not sure. I think key rings and magnets. Does anybody still do those?
I don't know, but I'm going to ask you, what did you give me for my 50th birthday?
I know, I've still got it, haven't I?
No. You drove up. You popped a card through the door.
I did.
What was in it?
I can't remember now, Kev.
It was a fridge magnet.
It was Oh, yeah, but that was a jokey one.
Yeah, I know. But it just reminded me of that.
If you're thinking, is that all Neil got him for his birthday? It is actually, because we haven't met up since then.
I know, exactly.
So
yeah, my birthday was a bit of a bypass.
I do have something here for you, Kev. Look, here it is.
Oh, yeah, I can see.
Look at that. It's waiting for you. And it's not your 35mm.
Yeah, I still do it. Well, we were talking about that last week, and then I was thinking, I was saying to him, I've got my 35, and then I don't know where it is, and then I remembered you must have it, but you don't think you've got it.
No, I don't think I've got it, you see, because otherwise you were going to give me the 35 that you've always thought. Well, you've thought about this. You thought this for 3 years now that I've got your 35. I wish I did, because that's the lens I want, Kev.
When I get back from my holidays, one of my things on my to-do list is to sort out my cupboards.
The cupboard of doom.
Yeah. So
Can I come across that day?
If you want, there's going to be all sorts of stuff.
I know.
Drones, lenses,
Perfect.
Cameras.
I'm bringing
unopened box bags, straps. I've got hundreds of camera straps that I've never even opened that people have sent me. All kinds of stuff.
We should
those
do
things
some
that you edit with. Those little swirly things.
swirly things.
Things with knobs and dials and buttons and sliders.
Oh, I've had one of those. I think one in particular. What was it called? It was really good. I used it for a while, actually.
They always seem to just be used for a while.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to come over with a great big plastic box, and I'm going to put the word swag on the side of it. And Kev's. We should have an event, actually. Kev's Cupboard of Doom event. People will come from far and wide.
I've got all sorts. All sorts.
Right, should we do the questions? I was on the 35mm front, by the way. I was 23 actually is the one I'm looking for. So you did say you might have another 23, but the 23 I know you're going to say to me, don't do it, almost in slow motion. I was considering. Do you remember Multicoloured Swap Shop? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember
Cheggers?
Cheggers? Yeah, Cheggers. The late Cheggers. Love him.
He did.
Yeah, Kev. Yes.
Sure, you're not having a Bob Dylan moment?
No. I need to be serious about this because Keith was a friend of mine, and we worked together a few years. No, he sadly passed. No.
2017.
A while back. Yeah. Very sad. But he had a film out called Kill Keith. Look that one up as well. It was a low budget movie made by a very good friend of mine, Andy Thompson, and it was called Kill Keith. There were quite a few people in it that wanted to bump him off. So there's a bit of dark humour at this particular point, but Keith was brilliant. They put him in.
Here's one for your pub quiz tonight in school.
What's that?
What was the name of the pop group that Cheggers was in?
Ooh, that is a good one. I've written it now, Kev, but I'd like to know the answer to that. Or you're not going to tell me?
Brown Sauce.
Brown Sauce. Oh,
yeah. Cheggers, Maggie Philbin, who was his wife at the time, I think, and Noel Edmonds are in it. It must have been awful. Absolutely awful.
I can't imagine. They probably, in those days, though, those sort of novelty records, they did quite well, didn't they? See,
that isn't something I just knew, by the way. It came up because I was searching for him. They had one song, and it was called I Want to Be a Winner.
That's it. I remember it now. Yeah.
Well, it was a hit.
It was, yeah. The reason for me mentioning Multicoloured Swap Shop is because, do you remember the bit, you'd phone in and you'd say, right, I would like to swap my game of battleships for a Raleigh Chopper bike. Some of the swaps were ridiculous, and they said, I'm not swapping my bike for a stupid game that's probably got a bit missing. And I nearly had a Multicoloured Swap Shop moment where I thought, I will swap my 18mm for a 23mm. Oh, I thought you were going to go no then in slow motion. No. But I did think
I'm too busy going down the Keith Chegwin rabbit hole on the internet.
That's it. You're lost for the day now. Dear old Keith.
Don't do it.
Right.
Anyway.
Let's start. And actually, let's start with a question about lenses. We don't just throw this thing together. This is from Fred Ash. Hi, Kev. Hi, Neil. I don't think it's hi, Kev and Neil. I don't think Fred's ever written to us before, has he? I'm not sure he has.
Don't recall that.
Right.
Don't recall that name.
Welcome along, Fred Ash. In episode 256, it was mentioned that both of you use one 18mm and one 56mm lens when creating wedding photography. Have either of you experimented carrying the one, i.e. an XF 50mm, f1 that is, instead of a 56? Why or why not? I don't know whether he said it in that way, but that's the way I'm reading it. Anyway, he has an Instagram here, @street_Fred. In brackets, P.S. I'm trying to imagine a role for this 845-gram monster for street portraits instead of my trusty 35mm 1.2. I've 1.2. It's 1.4, isn't it?
It's which one?
The 35mm.
35 is 1.4.
There's no 1.2, is there?
56 is 1.2,
yeah, that's
and
right.
the 50mm is f1.
That's right. Yeah, and
I just typed. Can you just do that? I was just going to look at Fred's Instagram, so I typed into Google. So I just typed in @street_Fred.
Yeah.
Can you do that and see what you get?
Well, just put that into
just that, just @street_Fred.
Is this going to be something that I don't want to see?
Well, no, not really, but I want to see if you get the same thing as me.
Oh, I do. Right. Yes. I don't think that's Fred's. Fred's.
What did
gram.
you say? Well, I'm going to go onto Instagram and search for it.
Yeah,
properly.
I think we should just
rather than children. If you want to type in,
no, you don't. No, you don't want to do that, Kevin. I'm yellow carding you.
It is street_Fred, though, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
There it is, Street Fred. Right, yeah. Following. There we go.
That's a little bit different to the other one.
It's very different, yes. Less F's and C's and K's.
Yeah, you couldn't spell the other one.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that dog in a handbag. Look at that.
There's some cracking pictures here.
Yeah, very good. Very
right.
good.
Anyway, back to his question. Yeah, have you tried the carrying just maybe one? Well, actually, no. That would be so far removed from the 18 that it's not really.
Well, I did have the 50mm f1.
Like it?
I did like it. So back in the day when I was one of them things, I was Fujifilm loaned me one for about 9 months actually, because one of my old 56mm 1.2s had that bug with the XT4. There was a bug with the XT4, 56mm back button focus, all that kind of stuff. So until the new one came out, they loaned me a 50mm f1, and I shot some weddings with it and everything. So it's big and it's heavy, but it was really, really nice. I would never use it for street photography. No. However, with a caveat that if you're doing street portraiture, that's a very different thing, and you might get some decent stuff from it. There is a wedding on my blog, on my website. I'm trying to look for it now. It was up in Scotland. You go on my blog and look for a Scotland wedding, you'll probably find it. It was last September, I think, and that was shot with the 18mm and the 50mm f1. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. It is big and heavy, but it was an amazing lens. And what I found was I wasn't really shooting at f1 with it, because that's just not necessary, in the depth field. And my thing about the f1, people say, oh yeah, but the depth of field and the f1, is going to be better than the f1.2. It's marginal. It's better. Well, I would say better. It's deeper. But saying that, if that really is your mandate, and you're desperately concerned about that, then you probably want to be looking at full frame cameras or GFX cameras or something, because the GFX will give you so much more than that f1 50mm will in terms of that depth of field.
Yeah, but Fred's a little bit worried that he can't afford the 50, and his bank account's going to grumble somewhat at him. So changing his camera system altogether is going to grumble even more, Kev. It's going to shout at him from across the street in Helsinki, which is where I think he lives. Helsinki. I'll get the letters the right way round in a moment. But so you've got that no more. That's not going to be in the cupboard of doom then?
No, it's gone back to Fujifilm.
Thank you, Fred. Nice to hear from you. Haven't tried it. I would like to. I'm not sure that's not the end of the spectrum that I'm looking for, though. I'm looking for the other end. Do you want to go from Facebook? It was unpinned for some reason. Did somebody pop in and unpin?
Yeah, perhaps the reason why we haven't had many questions for a while is because the pinned post had been unpinned, and it was probably me by mistake. So in my excitement to get my business page back, I probably just press random buttons and
that all happened, didn't it? Well done, congratulations. We should have a little party for that.
Got my Facebook business page back.
How long did that take for them to say, Mr. Mullins, let's help you out here?
11 months. However, I did in the end have some inside help.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So a friend of mine's husband, turns out, works at Facebook, found out that I'd had this problem. And he went storming up to his boss and said, "Now listen here, you," and then instantly it came back online. So
that doesn't make me feel any better about it. I was thinking that's fantastic. Okay, it took a long time for them to get round to him, but they sorted it. And now it turns out that if you hadn't had your friend, it probably still wouldn't be sorted.
You're dead right. Absolutely. There's positives and negatives from that story. Positives is I got it back. And I sent him a gift to say thank you. But yes, otherwise, I don't think, and I think there's lots of people still who can't. Now, by the way, I am not going to, the friend is not anybody that anybody knows or anything like that. So I'm not going to be kind of giving that name out.
Well, I just wonder if you could put, that was going to be my next question. Could you put, let's put his email address within the show notes. And if you have any Facebook problems at all, write him. He'll sort it.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Right. Do you want
I just had a message from Street Fred, by the way, on Instagram. Just as we're actually recording this, we're still talking. I just had a message from Fred. He says, because I just followed him on Instagram, he says, "Hi, Kev." Oh, it's just gone again. Don't know if he's deleted. Oh, there we go. I enjoy your podcast with Neil without an E, and feel your need to downshift. Right. I should reply to that afterwards.
Right. What was yours from the Facebook?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Oh, so yes. So please give us some more questions because because
Kev unpinned it basically.
I unpinned it. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Right. So Colin Knott says, "Hi guys, I have binge listened from day one over the last few years, months. Blimey! I have binge listened from day one over the last few
My
months.
word, you can't have done anything. You can't have done anything with your life in that time. Then
Yeah, I know.
there's a lot of it.
Yeah, amazing. I'm now on the home straight and will be bang up to date in the next week or so.
Wow.
My QQ, I recently bought a preset package and I generally shoot in Edinburgh, come home with hopefully enough images that I can make an image reel for YouTube. My question is, how the absolute F***K do you decide which presets to go for? I used to solely decide image to image separately, but it's far nicer to watch a reel where the edit is consistent. I feel I am only an amateur, by the way, but all the same, I strive to improve anything I put out there. Here is my Instagram, and he says he hates Instagram, by the way, but there it is. It is col.not_Fuji_street_urban, not KNOTT. I shall now follow that one also, if I can find it.
I will as well when I've written it down.
Well, so yes, so I mean, ultimately, there's some nice stuff on there as well. Oof, follow back.
Kev's going to spend the whole show today just looking at Instagram.
I know, yeah.
And Keith Chegwin archive material.
Yeah. So yeah, when it comes to whether it's my presets, your presets, third-party presets, the Lightroom built-in presets, whatever, it doesn't matter. I just think cohesion for anything that's being displayed is important. Now you can do whatever you so wish in terms of, just playing, editing, whatever. I re-edited some stuff yesterday for my shiny new Facebook business page with a very kind of grainy, filmy black and white. But ultimately, everything that I put to my clients looks basically the same. It's the same process done to it.
Yeah, you have a certain colour to your images that I think I recognise as being a Mullins picture. And and the black and whites also, and that's fine. But I think if you're doing, certainly it doesn't really matter. Okay. So what I find with street photography, if I'm doing a reel for anything, such as YouTube, you're going to find it very hard to have, let's say, 20 street photography images that a preset just works perfectly for all of them. Because the light is different, the angle's different, the perspective's different, maybe you're using different lenses, all that kind of stuff. There's no real magic bullet to just drop any preset from anywhere, even the Lightroom ones, onto a whole series of images and for them all to look exactly the same. It's a starting point.
I'd say it's the second point. I always say to people that you should correct your exposure and your white balance, even for black and whites, do all of that stuff first. I've just had another 2 messages.
I know, I can hear them coming
Fred.
in. We're getting boom, boom. Could you stop your conversations?
That's my new best friend, Street_Fred from Helsinki.
Yeah. Would you like to concentrate on the programme for the next 30 minutes?
Wonderful. I'm just waiting for col.not_Fuji.
No, God, I'm going to go home at that point. Oh, I am home. What am I talking about?
But yeah, so I am looking. So put it this way, I'm looking at Colin's Instagram feed now, and there is lots of nice pictures, lovely pictures. Yep. All of them very differently edited. So I would say find something that you really like, something that's to your taste, and kind of stick with it. Really, certainly for a kind of reel, a YouTube reel, or whatever. Just try and get the cohesion right. But it is a little bit more tricky when you're shooting on the streets, because like I say, you might be shooting you might start in the morning and finish at dusk, and you need to just take that into account.
I think you must have come into the office at some stage in your Hulk outfit, no doubt, and you whipped away the presets. I had your presets, and I was using the newspaper one. It's gone, Kev. I can't find it anywhere. It's gone. I think you took it.
No, I'll just resend them to you.
Right. Well, it's the newspaper one. I love that one. I really but you're right, because I only use that for particular kind of pictures that I make if I'm out in the street or that kind of thing. And I've used it sometimes when I've been having a film camera day and a digital camera day. I've used that because it kind of matches up quite nicely once I've done a bit of jiggery pokery as well. Not much, to be fair, to HP5 film, which is my stock of choice for film.
I've just sent them back to you.
Have you?
Don't delete them again.
I didn't delete them. I'm sure.
Well, I didn't delete them, did I?
Well, you did manage to unpin the posts. So
that's true.
I don't know. This is quite a long one, so settle in. Ken Batchelor. Hi, fellas. Great shows as ever. At the risk of revisiting an old chestnut, stand by Kev, or two, I have some thoughts about phones versus proper cameras. I've just sold to MPB. Well done, you. Nice to hear it. Half of my Fujifilm stuff to fund the purchase of the latest iPhone. Straight away I realised, Kev, he's not necessarily in your Christmas card list for that, which I've decided will be okay for most of my photography. I'm keeping, though, an XT3 and a couple of good primes for a future wedding or two. This, of course, is a personal choice based on what I deem suitable for my current and future photographic needs. Over the years, I've used many cameras from the old film Olympus OM1 right through to Fuji mirrorless. In recent years, it seems to me that the major camera companies, we're halfway there, Kev, have been covering their ears while singing La 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 La, which is something Kev does sometimes, in an effort to ignore the sound of phone camera makers advancing on their market. If they continue to do this, they might find themselves swallowed up, not necessarily by a phone company, but by the first camera manufacturer to join the dots and realise the potential for these new devices. It seems to me that the first camera company that successfully integrates the advantages of phone cameras into their inherent advantages of sensor size and superior glass will clean up. Imagine what would happen if Apple decided to use some small change and integrate their computational power into a small camera system with integrated internet, computational photography and so on. I doubt that Apple would think this worthwhile, but it ought to be in the minds of the traditional manufacturers. While we may love the feel and the process of using trad cameras, the final arbiter will probably be the pictures produced and the ease of their production. If somebody comes up with a better and easier way of doing this, then they're going to take the lion's share of the market. Your thoughts, please, Ken Batchelor. Well, I agree with a lot of what Ken's just said.
Yeah, I do to a certain extent also. Go on, you have your thoughts.
Well, I think a game changer is this late. I know you're not an iPhone person, but a game changer, having watched very carefully some of the stuff that's been coming out of the iPhone 15, I'm really impressed with some of the advances they've made, in particular being able to, now it's a bit clunky at the moment because you have to bolt some sort of drive to it to make it worthwhile in any length of time if you want to shoot a longer film, but the advance of being able to shoot RAW for your filming, that's amazing, Kev. And the stuff that's coming out of it, incredible. The cameras are making just massive leaps and bounds in all flavours. And I put recently, I bought myself one of those little grips that you have the shutter button release on it. I was just interested to see if I would use the phone differently if I had that.
Hipster.
Well, you may say that, but no, I do. I've started using that in a different way. I used to take the iPhone out and make pictures sometimes on my walks, but I'd still prefer the experience of using my X100V every single time. But put a grip on it. Now, it didn't take it to the feeling of using an X100V. No, of course it didn't. But it got a lot closer. And
yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. So there's a couple of my thoughts on this stuff is, one, and Andreas used to say this, and also the marketing managers in Japan also, Apple, Samsung, Sony, all of those, they have billions of pounds, dollars, R&D in their computational jiggery pokery.
Yeah.
The mirrorless camera companies don't.
No.
They might have hundreds of millions. They don't have hundreds of billions. So, there are far more phones sold than there are cameras. All right. Now, the other thing is that, people are making an educated choice here. Like, I don't like taking photos with my phone. I mean, of course I do it. I don't like it. No matter how much the computational stuff goes into the cameras, there's physics. The image quality of cell phones will never match actual cameras, as far as I can see.
Would you sign in blood the word never? I'm not sure you would.
I don't think you. Well, okay, put it this way: with my tiny little head, but with the very elongated foreheads of phone manufacturers,
yes.
they still have only got tiny sensors in those cameras.
Yeah.
So the physics and the physical size of optics are there. It's all done computationally, which means the portrait mode, the bokeh, the zoom. When you use a camera phone, regardless whether it's the latest best thing in the world, the zooms are awful. The zoom mechanism in the camera is awful. You don't have the joy and the kind of elementary use of a viewfinder with a phone. You just don't. You can't put your eye into an EVF or an OVF. You just can't do that. You're going to struggle to, unless you're using some kind of very, very fancy software, struggle to get any reasonably sized prints out of it. And also what you have to remember is most people who buy cameras are buying it because they are into photography.
There's an experience, definitely.
As an experience, they like photography, which means they're probably more likely to be using something like Lightroom, etc., to do all of their processing. I just don't think that there is a need, and I don't think there's a worry for camera manufacturers. Personally, this is only me personally, to think we have to get that kind of computational stuff into our cameras. For sure, they're losing sales to people who, perhaps I don't need, just as Ken said, he's sold some of his stuff to get the iPhone, and that's great because. Perhaps that's his personal preference, and camera manufacturers will certainly be losing sales to that. And we've known for a long time, for the last 15 or so years, that camera sales are dropping year on year generally. But when you look at the kind of pro stuff, they're not. They're still there. They've got a steady curve in the market, and that's because people want the ability, the extra dynamic range, the experience of using a camera, the ability to actually set manual focus without having to drag your fingers all over a screen, all that kind of stuff. The rest of it is just gimmickry within. It's not gimmickry, but it's computational processing within a very small sensor. And it looks good because of that, because it's a small sensor. It would not look good if you had that computational processing power and the price and everything that would come with it by sticking it into a camera. They just won't do that. Why would they do it when people will just go, well, I'm going to spend £1,500 on a camera, which is just going to use computational technology to create depth of field. Whereas they'll spend £1,500 on a camera because it's got a bigger sensor, it's got better dynamic range, it can shoot RAW, it can shoot burst RAW, it can shoot much more frames per second. You can attach zooms, you can attach different lenses to it, you can print bigger, you can create much longer videos, you can have exceptional audio in it. And that's, I don't think you can compare them together, personally.
Well, and the word I was looking for just a while back was log, not RAW, obviously. But
log, F-log in Fuji World, S-log in Sony World, etc.
And the log now that you can the way you can film in Apple. Is this? I mean, it's not X for X, but it sounds a little bit, and there's a touch of the arguments of when we went film to digital. Of people saying, well, it won't catch on because of this reason and that reason. Although I am the physical size that you have in a phone can't be denied, as you've just said. When you mentioned an interesting thing though there, Kev, experience. And I've used a few cameras of late where I've looked on the back screen of a camera. The GR3? The GR3 is one of those. I didn't find the same experience at all. That idea of pushing your eye up against an OVF or EVF or whatever is an entirely different prospect, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and even just having a large screen LCD, on the back of a camera, and the option to go into the EVF or OVF if you use an X100 or X Pro, etc. But yeah, I mean, absolutely no doubt that cameras, and I've seen some of the pictures from the iPhone 15 Pro, which is the latest one, I think, and they are phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, they are absolutely phenomenal. But, and I'll say this with a little caveat, there is none of those pictures you could not produce with a £400 Fujifilm XF10 camera, whereas your new shiny iPhone 15 is what, £1,600?
I don't know what they are. Is that? I thought they were a bit less than that.
Well, whatever. But certainly over £1,000.
Yeah.
So that's just where it is. I don't see the camera manufacturers worrying too much about it and investing. Well, they don't have that kind of money to invest anyway in that stuff. I don't think. You might find at some point in the future, there's a crossover and some licensing stuff goes on, or Adobe get involved or whoever. Wasn't it who was it? Panasonic? I think it was Panasonic that created a camera with a version of Capture One in the.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody forgot about that pretty quick. Yeah. So
there is some. I must remember to do the link for this. The incredible iPhone photo of rainy Manchester. It's showing the railway bridges of Castlefield, shot by Simon Buckley. That's right. I spoke to Simon Buckley a while back, and he made this picture. Now he did use some special secret source software to bring this thing up to a large print that I don't think he could have done otherwise. But it was taken on a much older iPhone. I must send a link to you, Kev. It was incredible. Simon Buckley has been doing some work with his iPhone and these are older iPhones that just, for me, that was with an iPhone. Oh my word!
Yeah.
There are photographers doing it. But yeah. Thank you, Ken. That was a good conversation point. I think we've got time for just one more, Kev, and that's it. Then you're on your school holidays. Behave yourself.
Is it me?
Yeah, it is you. Make it a goodie.
Well, I'm going to have to go back in time.
Have you disappeared?
Right. David Swales.
Right.
2 questions. QQ1. Yeah. I'd like to know what your essential kit bag item is, which isn't photographic equipment. He goes on to say, mine is my stepladder.
You can't keep that in a camera bag. Have you got to keep it in a camera bag?
Hang on. He says, though it doesn't fit in my bag, of course. Right, it comes everywhere with me and helps me get certain shots and helps get in that awful big group photo when requested to. Shuddering. Okay, so QQ1. Let's answer that. Do you take a stepladder with you?
No, I don't. I stopped taking. I used to take a stepladder. I used to have one so large it was on the top of the Jeep that I had. I had a Jeep Cherokee and I had to rope it to the top. And I thought, why am I carrying a ladder around with me everywhere? I look like a window cleaner. So I did, and I also found that some venues were saying you can't use that ladder. Why can't I use my ladder? Well, we've not safety checked it or whatever it was. So it became a bit of a pain. And also it meant that you had no excuse for not taking a big grip shot of everybody. I didn't use my stepladder anymore.
What is your essential kit bag item?
Oh, God. Everything, because I keep quite a small bag now. I've got a multi, what do they call it? Jiggery-jaggery tool. The Swiss thingy.
Oh, yeah. Swiss Army knife
It's
thing.
got everything on it so I can undo little screws, plates to go on the bottom, and it's really good for getting into one of the recorders that I have that's got a really funny battery thing on it. Would that count, my little Swiss Army knife?
Yeah, I'd say that really counts. That's a good idea. I've got one of them. I never take it to a wedding, but I do have one.
I had a credit card one bought for me as well. One of those metal credit card size ones that has all sorts of different things around the edge of it. So you can unscrew things, prise things up, even open a bottle, Kev. Handy. That was really good. Until I left it at a wedding. I got bought that for Father's Day. And somebody nicked it, Kev. They nicked it.
I just don't. I always take a spare shirt in the car just in case, on those hot days are important, but more likely that I spill some food down it when I'm having my sandwiches.
What you mean, your car snacks on the way?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my mince pies and this time of year, and pork pies the rest of the year. Yeah, so take a book, whatever book I'm reading at the moment. I take that so I can read it during the speeches, and that's basically it.
Kev, I know that. Oh, this is time for you to retire. Oh, guess what? He is.
I'm only joking. Of course, I'm only joking. I read it during the ceremony.
No. Have you ever?
Right, there's a QQ2.
No. Before that, I want you to be honest, because you're a church-going lad. I know that. You're a good Catholic boy. Have you ever sent a text in church, Kev? Have you ever checked your phone and sent a text?
Yeah, probably. I can't remember exactly when. I always switch my phone off during the ceremony. So
don't you feel it's a sign of disrespect if you're using
switching my phone off?
Church? No. If you're using your phone in church.
Oh no, I would never have done it during the ceremony. I might have done it like while I'm stood there waiting for it to start or something.
Yeah.
But that reminds me, there is one other thing that I do have in my camera bag, which is a crucifix. I carry that with me everywhere.
Do you?
Yeah. So I got a gold. It was my nana's gold crucifix that she had on her mantelpiece, and I think it was her mother's. It's about 2 inches tall, and I take that, goes with me in my wedding camera bag. It's in the little net pocket at the top. And
you're all
like
sorted.
That's a good thing for me to have.
It is, yeah. And also, if there's a vampire at a wedding, you can hold it out to them, Kev.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Be gone with you.
Yeah, and this is why I can do whatever I want during church weddings, because when I walk up with my little X100, I wave the crucifix in my other hand and say, "Hey,
I'm a member. I'm a member.
Yeah, I'm a member. I'm on your side."
Yeah.
I
wonder whether my sorry, before you do QQ2, I wonder whether my there's so many attachments on this thing, Kev. My Swiss Army knife must have a crucifix in there somewhere, sure.
Anyway, I lost a little mine had a little tiny pen in it. I've lost that. But other than that, I've got all the main knifey bit. As I've lost the top end of that. I must have stabbed that into something and snapped it off.
I have to remember when I'm flying, never to have that in the bag.
No,
because it'd be gone for obvious good reasons. Right. Anyway, QQ2.
QQ2. Right. It says, going back to the chat on wagon wheels. Right. Yes, we did talk about wagon. Bear in mind, David sent this question in 12 weeks ago.
Right.
We did have a conversation thereby about wagon wheels.
We would have done.
F, are you an OG wagon wheel man, or are you partial to the ones filled with jam? I'm a jam man myself.
Are there two?
What does OG mean? We talked about this, didn't we?
Original. What is? I'll look it up. Hold on.
O.G.
Oh no, actually, it's original gangster, slang term for somebody who's incredibly exceptional, basically. Authentic, or old school. The OG. Our kids use it all the time.
How does Bob Marley like his wagon wheels? Do you think? You like some with jam in?
Oh, I knew that. I was trying to think of every Bob Marley song then, and I just didn't get to jam in.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because all of the wagon wheels that I can remember having recently, certainly the ones my kids must like, have jam in. But yeah,
I thought they always had jam in.
No, they didn't. Yeah, the originals didn't, if I remember rightly. So one of my first girlfriends, who was a shot putter from Pontypool.
God, where's this going?
Her grandmother worked in the wagon wheel factory.
Right, a shot putter from Pontypool.
Yeah, and it was a right combination. Anyway, her grandmother, worked in the wagon wheel factory, which was in Llantarnam.
Yeah,
and they also made pot noodles.
Oh.
And so she would like every weekend when she would kind of bring me all of the stuff that didn't make the shelf, sort of thing. So pot noodles that didn't have enough noodles in them, wagon wheels that were a little bit broken, or sometimes I had square ones, triangle ones, all kinds of things. It was good.
It's like it's like a black market. They say, do you want a wagon wheel?
You want a triangle wagon wheel?
A whole load of them.
Got a diamond one as well, if you really want it.
One of our friends works for a farmer company. I won't say the name, but I'm sure they're not supposed to do this. And occasionally we get a big box of Barocca or Rennies. If you ever have indigestion, Kev, I've got Rennies coming out of my cupboard, of doom.
Do you sure you don't get any of those little blue pills?
No. No. Do they make? Is that the same company that make those?
Not wagon wheels.
No, not wagon wheels. That'd be interesting. Stuff I don't know.
That would properly give you a golden wonder.
Probably would. I should probably press this button now for the music.
I'm going on holiday.
I mean, with the car snack situation, I don't know whether wagon wheels are your car snack of choice when you're going off to a wedding, Kev, but I've noticed my favourite milkshake is, I never know how to pronounce this. Is it Fridge? Frijj.
Oh, yeah.
You know those ones?
I hate flavoured milk, but yes, the kids like that.
Yeah, I love it. It's a really nice, thick milkshake. I'm sure all goodness involved in making it. But I've noticed that they're almost, there's like a third of the size. Everything's become much smaller.
Yeah, what do they call it? They call it smallflation. There's a term, isn't there, for it? It's like Mars bars are half the size they used to be and double the price.
I
There's
call
a
it
word
being
for
ripped off. I don't know. There's no fancy name in my dictionary. I feel.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about that anymore. I got in trouble last time
Yes,
talking
that's
about
true.
the price of living,
All right. Well, look. You're off on your
cost of existing, money, just everything.
All right. You're off on your holidays, Kev. Enjoy.
Yeah,
And
you too.
never have you
Not
sounded.
buying the kids anything on the way though.
Never have you
Can have
sounded
some water.
more like Jack D.
That's what Gemma calls me, Jack.
Does she?
Yeah.
See you in a couple of weeks, Kev.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
The FujiCast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.